If you're looking to sew a really easy trouser sewing pattern, I'm going to make one in this video. Hey guys, I'm Tammy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to sew the henna trouser pattern and hopefully it will take me around 2 hours. I keep seeing so many things on my Pinterest board where you just kind of have a simple trouser shape, but what brings it to life is using a really colourful fabric. So today I've got this one that I'm going to be using and turning into a really nice trouser. You can see it's got such a bold print and it's in red and pink, and I think it's just going to be perfect in a nice set of trousers. So the henna trouser pattern comes in sizes 6 to 32 and it's going to be so simple to sew. It's really great for beginners. It's a PDF pattern that you can print at home, so you can either print it on A4 US letter or A0, and it also has projector files. I've been loving using my projector, so I'm going to project it today onto the fabric to cut it out. So you can see I've got the projector on the floor and it's projecting the trouser pattern. I've got my laptop over here. My cat's in the way because she loves playing with the lines on the projection when it's on. I think she thinks she's allowed to chase it. Now that's all done, I'm going to go ahead and put my fabric down and cut the pattern out. That is my projector, by the way. I was going to use a smaller one that I have, but that one ran out of battery, so I'm going to use this one. It's definitely bigger and heavier, but I found the lines of the projection are just so much clearer on this one. So I've gone ahead and cut out my fabric. What I'm going to do now is just give everything a good iron. I recently got this one and I absolutely love it. It's from a brand called Tefal, and I just find it irons so much better than my last one. Like, the amount of steam this gives off is so good. I did realize as I was cutting this out that the fabric width was a bit narrow, so I had to cut a bit of the selvage to include it into the fabric. But I'm sure that'll be fine. If someone told me when I first started sewing that half of your sewing journey is actually learning how to iron properly and press, it's such an important skill to do because it really makes a difference in how professional your actual finished garment looks. So I have everything cut out and ironed, and the first thing we have to do is actually finish the raw edges. So I like to finish the edges of the pocket. This is just all of them here. Individually, I'll go around and finish the raw edge all the way around. I'm going to use an overlocker. You can definitely use a zigzag stitch or pinking shears. And then you also need to finish the side seams of the front and back trouser just by using an overlocker, just because it makes it easier and neater when you come to assemble the pockets. So I've gone ahead and overlocked all the edges, so that is what I'm talking about. I've used an overlocker all the way around the pocket like that, and then I've also done it for the side seams of the trousers. So the first thing I'm going to do is sew the pockets to the side seam of the trouser. It's much easier than you think. I personally find inseam pockets are the most beginner friendly pocket to sew. But you basically want to get one back trouser. This is one right here. This is the right side of the fabric facing up. And then I'm going to place one pocket piece with the right side facing down and align it at the notches. So this is one back trouser. I'm going to get one front trouser. So this is a front trouser. I can place it like this. So both side seams are kind of meeting each other, and this is the front and this is the back. And then you basically want to place another pocket piece like that, so they're going to match up. There's also notches on the pattern for you to follow. And then we're going to sew this with a 1/2 inch seam allowance or 1.2 centimeter seam allowance, and do that on both sides. And then repeat this process for the other trouser pieces. So now that I've gone ahead and sewn the pockets of the trouser, what I'm going to do is open up the pocket like this. So this is a side seam and I've pushed it out to the side. I'm going to press this so it's lying flat. So we sewed the pocket on like that, and we're going to flip it over like that and press it in place. So the next step we're going to do is place one back piece in front of us with the right side facing down. So this is one of the back trousers, and then I'm going to find the other front trouser and place that directly on top with right sides together. So if I place that down, it should look something like this. We just want to align the edges so they're completely flat with each other, so like that. And then we're going to pin it along all the way round and down the side. So now that we've pinned that in place, what we're going to do is start from the top and sew all the way around the pocket and then back down to the bottom of the trouser. So I've sewn both trouser legs like that, and that is what it should look like when you open it out. I'm going to go ahead and press this side seam with my iron just so it's nice and flat when I'm wearing it. And then we've also got the other trouser leg right here. So one's going to be the right leg and one's going to be the left. So now that we've pressed the side seam and the pocket, so you can see we've got the pocket right there, what we want to do is then fold the trouser so both right sides are together like that. And then we're going to clip and pin along this seam right here, which is the inner leg seam. And then we're going to sew this inner leg seam on the sewing machine using a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way along. So I've gone ahead and sewn that inner leg seam, and that is what it should look like. So it should be that long edge right there. I also went ahead and used an overlocker to finish the raw edge after. You can use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine or pinking shears. Now what we're going to do next is probably the most complicated part of the whole process when you're sewing trousers, and that is sewing the crotch seam. So the seam that goes around the front and over your bum. So what you want to do is basically take one of your legs and turn that inside out. So this one is inside out. And then I have the other leg right here, and this one is right side out. So one's going to be inside out and right side out. And you can actually kind of see, because the inside out fabric here, it's actually duller than the one when the fabric is on the right side. I'm going to take you over to my table and show you how to sew this step. So I've got the leg here, which is inside out in front of me. And what I'm going to do is find that inner leg seam, which is right here. I'm just going to open that up. So it looks something like that. And this is the crotch seam here, this U shape. I'm then going to take the other leg piece, which is the right side facing out, and I'm going to push this inside the other leg. So we've got the hem here. I'm going to start with that. So just push that all the way down inside this leg. And then with the leg that we're pushing inside, you want to go ahead and find that crotch seam. So this is the crotch seam because you can see it's got that U, and we're going to align both of them together. So this is the leg that's facing right side out, and this is the leg that's facing wrong side out. So push them together like that and align them and pin them in place. And then you should be able to really easily now pin the rest of the U. So that's one side, and the other side should look like this. Again, you want to push the leg inside this one. So now hopefully you can see we basically have that U shape pinned together, and that's pinning the front and back leg together. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is sew at the top of the U, go all the way down, around and back up to the other side. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch seam allowance and then finish the raw edge with an overlocker. So now that I've sewn that U, that is what that looks like, and I've also overlocked the edge so it's nice and neat, as you can see, like that. Now what we're going to do now is basically the fun part. We're going to pull the trouser to the right side. So I'm just going to go inside and literally pull it out. And now you should see the trousers are actually really taking shape. We've got the waist up here, and then we've got the two legs all the way down to the bottom. So now what we want to do is finish the raw edge of the hem. I'm going to use my overlocker. I'm just going to go all the way around just to finish it off. So then when we use the elastic and make the casing, it's nice and neat on the inside. So now that I've overlocked the waist edge, it looks like that. And what I'm going to do now is fold the top edge of the waist down by 1.5 inches, which is about 4 centimeters. I'm just going to roughly use a ruler to see what that looks like. And then I'm just going to use my iron to press that in place. So I went ahead and sewed the waist edge down, so it looks like that from the wrong side. You can see it's been sewn down and overlocked. You want to make sure you leave a gap at the back. So you can see this is where I've left a gap in the waist casing, so I can actually put my finger through that section. So the top of the trousers is finished with elastic. I'm using 1 inch wide elastic, which is 2.5 centimeters, and you want to cut out the measurements that I've indicated in the instructions. For my size, I need to cut out 26 inches of elastic. And then you want to get a safety pin. I've got one right here. Open it up, and then you literally want to place it inside one of the ends like that. So pierce the elastic, and then we're going to use that to push it through the casing we made on the waist. So you want to find that gap that we left, and you want to take the elastic and push it inside that gap and basically feed it all along the waist edge. This can definitely be a bit tedious, but once you do it once, you get the hang of it. Just make sure as you're doing it, you don't lose the other end of the elastic into that. You kind of want to hold that in place or put a pin at the end, something like this, so it's less likely to get caught and go inside the waist. So I've gone ahead and put the elastic around the waist, and now both ends are free. You can see they've come out right there, and I've just used a clip to clip it in place. What we're going to do now is take this to our sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch to attach both elastic ends together. You want to make sure you go over it a few times just to make it nice and secure. So it should look like this. If I just show you a close-up, you can see that zigzag edge, and that just means both elastic ends are attached to each other. What I'm going to do now is basically stretch out the waistband, and it just helps distribute the elastic evenly around the entire waist. So now you can see our trousers are really coming together. All that's left to do now is hem the bottom. We also just need to find that gap that we left. So mine is here in the waistband. I'm just going to sew that closed and then move on to hemming the trousers. So to hem the trousers, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold the bottom edge up by 1/2 inch like that, and then fold it again by the same amount and press it in place all along. Then once you've done that, you just need to stitch around the edge. And this is what the final trousers look like. They look so cute, and they have a nice elasticated waistband to help fit how you want them to. So you can see that's the waist, and it goes all the way down to the bottom, and we've got the leg there which we've hemmed as well. Let me show you what it looks like on. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I sew the henna trousers. Honestly, they're really beginner friendly and they're super simple to sew, especially if you want an easy project. I'll leave a link down below on where you can find the pattern on my website. But in total, this took me 2 hours to sew from start to finish, and that included me filming this as well. So it's a really easy project and I hope you like it. Definitely let me know in the comments how you think this turned out, and I'll see you in the next one.